Welcome to the Millionaires Club podcast, where the only requirement for membership is a desire to have a millionaire mindset. And now your host, John Bellavy.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Millionaires Club podcast. I'm here with my business partner and longtime friend, Mr. Larry Kozin.
Hey John.
Larry, welcome. You know, we're going to be consistent putting these podcasts together, and you know, it's endless topics, but you know, Millionaires Club is really the only requirement for membership is just to have a millionaire's mindset. You know, doesn't have to anything to do with your bank account or your financial status, but it has everything to do with the mindset. So what we've been able to do, Larry, is really develop the right mindset to withstand business, you know, the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows over the last 14 years and do very well. And, you know, one thing I've been hesitant to really talk about our business ventures and the ups and downs, because I still feel that we're in the middle of that. But we've gained so much experience in business that I think, you know, somebody can benefit from that. Not to mention, you know, we've both been on our own personal journeys. And I think that, you know, that's something that, you know, we can share that experience with people and they can benefit from that, whether it's spiritual, whether it's health related, maybe it's just lifestyle, the way we eat, you know, just anything that might be able to help somebody in any way, shape, or form. So that's really our mindset with the Millionaires Club, is just to have that willingness to help and give back. Because I heard a saying one time, in order to keep it, you got to give it away. So we're here to give it away.
No, that's beautiful. You know, I wanted to write that chapter in the book. You know, I call it Millionaires Club. And it was really kind of my coming out, where I had shame of my childhood. I had shame that, you know, I was abused as a child. I had developed depression, PTSD. It led to addiction. It led to alcoholism. And thank God for all that, because I am where I am today, you know, as a result of all my experiences moving forward. But, you know, it was important for me to actually, you know, write about those things and, you know, how, you know, through a God of my own understanding and, you know, through a lot of mentors helping me, you know, get to this point. And you really hit the nail right on the head. You know, it's about giving. You know, it's about giving first without expectation of return. You know, as a kid, I remember my stepmother saying to me, you know, there's givers and there takers, and you're a very selfish person. You know, and that like stuck with me, but she was right. And you look at all the problems and challenges I had, it's because I was always thinking to myself, I was selfish, I was self-centered, and all that did was bring me misery. And, you know, through a set of circumstances and mentors and learning, you know, the Millionaires Club methodologies and principles, you know, it all turned around. And, you know, it's been great, you know, these last 14 years teaming up with you, knowing that, you know, you have those same principles that you follow in your life. And it's just been a fantastic business relationship.
No, it really has. And you know, we decided when we were going to do this podcast that, you know, there's no holds barred, you know, that we're going to, you know, what you see is what you get. People are going to get to know us at a different level than just maybe from a business relationship or even from a friendship relationship. They might find out something about us that they didn't know. But I'm excited about this journey too. And sometimes, you know, and I talked about it previously, is that fear, you know, fear of rejection, fear of what people will think, you know, not doing a podcast. From that perspective, you'll never get started. You know, we'd never get on the journey. So I think and that just helps with the mindset, is having that give. You know, we're giving something away here that hopefully will be of value to anybody, and they'll want to listen. They'll want to, you know, participate, and we're gonna have you know, we'll have an audience, and if they want to participate, they can. But you touched on something that is what we're going through right now. And, you know, I always say it's the art of the deal. And we've put together over the last 14 years, some incredible deals. and you mentioned give and take. And I truly believe that, when you are negotiating a deal, there has to be give and take. But what I've seen over the years is just a consistent theme that whenever you put together a deal for a business partner, for somebody that we're trying to get in business with, is that it's been usually more than fair. In fact, sometimes I've seen the deal weighted towards the other person's favor, and that's very unique, because when you look at people, when they put together a deal, a lot of times, you say there's give and take. People just want to take, and they give you nothing really on the other side. What they're looking at, what's best for them. And I get that. But in order to be successful there, and I've seen it over and over again, is that give and take, and also just knowing how to, weigh things sometimes in the favor of that person that you want to do business with or getting a deal with.
Yeah. And when you say the art of the deal, to me, it almost has a negative connotation. I didn't read Trump's book.
No, now it does. Right. I know. That's exactly who I think of.
Yeah. But, the art of the deal, I didn't learn that from Trump, reading Trump's book or how he did it. But, one of my most important mentors, Henry Krause, may he rest in peace, actually escaped with his brother out of a Nazi concentration camp and somehow got to America. Actually, Henry got to America and his brother made it to Australia. Didn't speak a word of English, and they both became multimillionaires. And, what he taught me was about partnerships and about deal making. And he was a phenomenal deal maker. And that's what really he taught me is he made, you hear the expression, we'll make you an offer you can't refuse. That's really what it is. It's so lopsided towards the buyer that, and it's sincere that, we're able to close tons of deals. I mean, you look at Ideal Furniture, we sold over 325 licenses in less than 8 years. How did we do that? Starting from scratch when, franchises, that have millions of dollars behind don't sell that many franchises. And I think it's because of that willingness to really give more than what's expected. There's a very famous book, Think and Grow Rich. And one of the chapters, it's not really about deal making. It's more about just in life and even as an employee, whatever, is to give more than what you're compensated for, and it's going to come back to you. And so utilizing that principle, we do, again, could we have made better deals along the way and gotten more for ourselves? Well, maybe. But, how many deals did we get that we never would have had just because we made it so lopsided for the buyer?
Not only that, I see too that a lot of times, there's an out clause for both parties if things aren't working out, because when you get into a business relationship with somebody, it's you've heard it. It's got to be a win-win. And I always say personal relationships, business relationships, but I like that caveat that I see thrown in a lot of the times is, hey, if it's not working out, let's, shake hands, part as friends and move on. I kind of like that. I don't think, I read that book years ago. I couldn't begin to tell you the content and the art of the deal. But one of my all-time favorite movies is The Godfather.
Oh, yeah.
It's in my top 5. And I just watched The Irishman recently. I mean, 3.5-hour movie. I mean, I was that was a long movie. It took us actually 2 nights to watch it, but it was good. Those movies that I think that was more based on, reality, what's going on, and what happened back then, and the control that the mafia had over politics and unions and all, and how Vegas got funded, which I always knew it was through the Teamsters, but I kind of, it was another few layers of understanding, I guess. But anyways.
No, I mean, talking about that, I mean, I could go on about that because that's how I was brought up. I was brought up in Detroit. My grandfather, Babe Bushkin, was in labor relations. He had the contract for the cigarette vending machines. and did the negotiating, was very good friends with Hoffa. And in fact, when I was in elementary school, and my parents were divorced, my dad said to me, go to the library and check out the book, The Enemy Within, and look in the contents for your grandfather. And sure enough, he was in there. So when The Irishman came out, I watched it in one sitting because, that, and I didn't know any of this too. I'm so intrigued with it because it was hidden from me. My mom didn't want to talk about it, and I didn't really know what was going on. I used to go to my, grandfather's house, and he'd be watching football on Sundays, and he'd come over, he'd bring out a wad of bills and, just flip me like a 20 when I'm like 7 years old. It's like, who is this guy? So yeah, that was very interesting for me, just that, just because of that personal connection of that. But when you look at it, and I'm watching, Boardwalk Empire right now, and talk. It's about corruption. It's about politics. It's about, ethics. But here's the one thing that I get out of it. There's almost like a code, honor among thieves. And again, I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to be part of a criminal element or have anything to do with it. But there's something to be said about the honor that a certain way of carrying themselves that I know, you say it's all holds barred or no holds barred, that some people might get offended if you talk favorably about the mafia. But here in Vegas, I mean, you go in these casinos and they long for the days when it was the mafia and not the corrupt corporate Wall Street that's running all these casinos and running Vegas now.
Call it like it is. One thing about the mafia is that, your word was, your bond. I mean, you didn't have to write anything on paper, but you kept your mouth shut. You had loyalty it's unprecedented. Now in corporate America, you don't have that loyalty like you had in the mob. I mean, there's whistleblowers all over the place, but if, I just don't see that kind of loyalty because, in corporate environment, let's face it, it's all cutthroat.
Totally
I'm trying to find some dirt on you so I can, get paid more or cut you out and take your position. It's just, and I'm, we're going to dive deeper into that rabbit hole at some point, but boy, that's, I love the loyalty of the family, right? I mean, still one of my.
Well, that's why I teamed up with an Italian.
Yeah.
Who's an Italian, get along.
So I don't, well, that's like your grandfather, he's throwing you cigarette money, but.
He always had the big cigar in his mouth.
Oh yeah, unreal.
And you look at how many hundreds of contracts have we done, and in all the years we've been in business, not one lawsuit. We haven't sued anybody, and we've never been sued, which is amazing. Being in the licensing business and the business opportunity business. Let's face it, we know that sometimes there's a certain failure ratio, and no one wants to take responsibility for their own failure. But like you said, through buyouts and negotiations, even people that failed with us, we've always been able to work things out.
Well, we have, and and I always like that. It's we treat people the way we want to be treated. There's nothing negative floating around out there that we've taken advantage of anybody, which is just a testament of us doing things right. But I think when we get into business with somebody, and you're right, some people make it, some people don't. I mean, you could put two people in the same market with the same tools, with the same product. One guy will go on and make $1 million, and the other guy will be out of business in 3 months. And what's really the factor here? Why is it that somebody can go ahead and make it in business and somebody can't? And I always say that, when at the end of the day, and now everybody's using that term at the end of the day. I hear it so often now, but at the end of the day.
Well, it is the end of the day.
It is the end of the day. Well, no, everybody, that whole phrase at the end of the day, everybody's using that right now. I'm telling you, hear it all over the place.
Huh.
It's like a phrase that caught on.
Okay.
But anyways, at the end of the day, you got to look in the mirror and say, okay, I can't blame the population. I can't blame the product. I can't blame the industry. I got to put in the work. And, the reality is that some people, even though they get in business, they fail, but it's usually, I mean, let's probably 9, 10. And I'm not saying that there's some companies out there that don't follow through and give somebody, over promise and under deliver. Yes, that happens, but there's a large percentage of people that just don't make it in business, and it's because of their own doing or their own lack of doing.
Well, it's not just that. I think I could literally guarantee anybody's success in the furniture business, and that's the primary industry that we've been in. Certainly, we're expanding our horizons through our licensing company, but with furniture, it's such a massive industry. So much sales are being done, so much opportunity there, that I could literally guarantee anybody's success if they just promise one thing, and that is don't quit. If you don't quit, you're not going to fail. And that's kind of, you look at my history, even when things don't work out, I'll pick myself up and keep moving on. There's a lot of casualties in the furniture business. We've sold licenses to people, and like 2 months later, they're not a millionaire and they quit. Okay, yeah, if you quit, you're a failure in the industry. But if you don't quit, you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna learn more. You're gonna keep evolving. Your closing ratio is gonna get higher. You're gonna build up your team of team members that are gonna help you build the business. And it's just such an amazing industry, John. And it's just been phenomenal working with you all these years in the furniture business, because there's just so much opportunity, and we're just getting started in it.
We really are. Is it really faulty expectations that somebody that gets in business, they expect too much in a short amount of time, and they set themselves up for failure with the wrong expectations? I mean, that's, I'm all about raising the bar and setting goals and, making sure that you achieve them. But when somebody doesn't make it and you lay out a path, I mean, is it really?
It's more than expectation. Expectations is definitely one part of it, but it's about execution. And that's what I see that you are so phenomenal at. Is you plan your day and you go to work, and you got to do the work. If you're just dreaming about dollar signs and expectations, and you're not doing the things necessary to line up business, to find clients, to tell your story, give your elevator pitch, get the word out there, I think that is a bigger reason why people fail than even the expectations, is not going out and actually doing it. You got to work. You just can't, it's just not going to materialize. You have these books out, some of these books like that I may even have a problem, like The Secret. It's almost like magic. You just visualize it and all of a sudden it comes to you. And I think that type of mentality can be detrimental, because you're not getting your hands dirty and you're not taking the necessary steps to do all the things you need to do to be an entrepreneur and be a successful business owner.
Yeah, it's kind of like affirmations. People that, affirmations, saying the same thing over and over again, doesn't necessarily bring it into your life. So,
and I think it's good. Don't get me wrong. I think affirmations are great. Positive thinking is great. Goals are great, but you've got to put it into action. You got to get into action, and which is another chapter in Napoleon Hill's famous book.
Well, yeah, and I think one thing that I've seen successful people, I've seen it in you, I've seen it in me too, that, we become obsessed with the mission, obsessed with the work. And, I say work, for lack of a better term. I haven't worked in 25 years because, that says, because I enjoy what I do, but there's no other name for it. I don't know what you call it, but we call it work. But, there has to be a bit of obsession, that you have to be obsessed. If this is your gig, if this is what you're going to do, you have to do whatever it takes. It's cross the bridge, burn the bridge, and just don't look back and make it happen. But you have to be obsessed with what you do, and whatever that may be. Now, there's schools of thought there. Obsessed. You can't wake up and be obsessed with how much money I'm going to make today, because really, no matter what you're doing, when you look at it, if you're trying to get money from somebody, that's the wrong approach. Because people nowadays, they sense it, they feel it, they know it. But if you get up and you have the right mindset that you're going to go and really help somebody, whether that's help somebody save money, make money, whatever that motivation is that really gets you up in the morning. And I've seen it in you and I've seen it in myself. It's that obsession. And I always say I'm OCD, obsessive compulsive behavior. And I heard you call it now, instead of OCD, you call it SOE, spirit of excellence.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like that. Spirit of excellence, opposed to being, OCD, right?
I have another mentor, Buck Steffens, and, what he taught me was, and you mentioned the word mission, crusade. We're not going to a job. Like I said, it's not work. To have that mission, that crusade, that gets me out of bed. I'm part of something bigger than me. I'm part of the furniture revolution. I'm part of the Millionaires Club revolution to help people change their way of thinking and have better mindset. It's a crusade of helping, of empowerment, and having that mission or that crusade, gets us out of bed. I've never, been a military person. I support the military, and I have so much respect, for the military, people now. And that's kind of how I was taught. Buck was a Marine, and he brought that military, into the business arena. And, when he was in Vietnam, every minute, he was facing death. He was, and that's how he does business. He takes us, and that's how he's built teams of 100,000 people. That's how he's earned multi-million-dollar incomes over and over again in different opportunities, because, he basically, took to heart his mission, his crusade of really helping as many people as possible. And what that translated into him, and I saw it, is phenomenal incomes coming back to him.
Man, I don't know how people do that. I mean, yes. I mean, our military, these, I appreciate it. I live in a military town. I mean, I have the naval base on this side, I have Coast Guard on the other side. I mean, I'm either in the safest place on earth or the most dangerous, one or the other, right? But I appreciate, and every time I have a chance, I say thank you, for your service. But to go over to really see battle, to see war, I can't comprehend what those guys do. And then to come back and, get in the real world, and, it really just makes going out and recruiting 100,000 people like not a big deal. It puts things in perspective. But hopefully we won't see that kind of world war or Vietnam or any of those other wars anytime soon. So anyways, the sun's setting here, but what I want to do is leave everybody, because Larry, I'm going to give you an opportunity to share what you've been doing. And we're not going to go too far into it, but I know recently you've changed some habits, and share with everybody what you've done and how that's working out.
Yeah. I've been inspired. I always, with my weight, I've always been, around 210, 220. I've always been very consistent, consistently eating bad, eating sugar, eating unhealthily, not ballooning. I have friends that balloon to 300 pounds plus, and somehow maybe I have the metabolism, but I knew I wasn't healthy, and my energy, and I saw what you and JoJo did, with your life and utilizing a different way of eating, specifically the intermittent fasting, part of it. And I had previously had studied up on Atkins type of with carbs. I'm certainly still a neophyte, in nutrition, but was really kind of sick of how I was feeling. And what ended up happening is, as Angie and I lived in Mexico for 2 years, and just came back just in the last couple of years.
Nothing like a health scare in another country, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, getting a some type of amoeba or parasite inside of me, and was hospitalized and got so sick, and took off about 20 pounds, but I was unhealthy. But what happened after that, I kind of lost my appetite. I wasn't eating as much anymore. So I figured, okay, let me try it. And I came across a book called Good Sugar, Bad Sugar. And it was really opened my mind and my eyes up to what I was doing to my body. You know, I mentioned I was an addict. I became a sugar addict. I was eating terribly. I was going out and having, eclairs every night, or I sneak out to Krispy Kreme and get
You
three.
were a sweet tooth, man. Angie would have to hide the sweets, and you'd go look for them.
I would be begging. Sometimes I would find it, but not just that. I didn't realize too, I love bread, bread and butter, and not even knowing that was converting into sugar. And then I read this book, and it really explained to me that my love of sugar and carbohydrates was really not true. My mind was being tricked. I was addicted to it, and my addiction thought how much I loved this stuff, and something went off in my brain. This is just in the last month that I said, you know what, I could do this, and I gave up sugar, bread, and potatoes during the week. And in the last month, I didn't tell you this, I actually hit 179 a few days ago.
Wow.
I went back up because
you're $180.
Yeah. And like I said, I was over 200 since college.
I was going to say, when's the last time you were $180?
Probably high school. I mean, in college, I was already probably over 180. And not only that,
energy levels going through the roof, and now you're going to start. You're getting back into hockey.
I am. I had I was playing roller. I mean, I had knee surgery when I was 16.
Wow.
This is in 1973. I was 16. So this is a long time ago. And I had knee surgery. I lost my ice hockey career. I was a goalie. And then about when I was like in my 30s, I found roller hockey living in Southern California. And I found that I was able to be a very competitive roller hockey player and got even into advanced leagues. I loved it, and played for about 10 years. And then I had a groin injury, and I haven't played. I wanted to. I watched hockey on TV. I said I could do it. In my head, I think I could do it. And about 3 or 4 years ago, I bought equipment. I literally, John, could not even bend over and tie my skates on. I couldn't even bend over to tie my laces.
Probably a good sign that the timing wasn't right for you.
Right. So anyway, with this spurt of energy and feeling good, I've been exercising, working out, and I just got my equipment, much to the dismay of my wife. She was really going to boycott, not even watch me, but she saw that I'm serious about it. She's my trainer. I bought used hockey equipment on a like an eBay type of bidding site, and I've got about 90% of my equipment has come in. I'm just waiting for my helmet and my chest protector.
And you're ready to go. When does the season start?
Well, in March. But here
right.
in Vegas, they practice Mondays and Wednesdays, so I'm so excited about that. Wow. I've got good health insurance, and so I'm going to give it a shot.
Well, yes, Angie's going to be your number one fan, but until she sees that you can do it, she'll be a little skeptical, I'm sure. She doesn't want you to get hurt.
Right.
Makes sense, but it's the addiction is, and I see it in so many people close to me that mean a lot to me, and you can't overstep your boundaries. It's, you care for them, you love them, but you can't say, hey, listen, man, you shouldn't be eating that kind of sugar. You shouldn't be carb, because the body gets addicted to it. And people say, well, they eat like that and they're always hungry because the body keeps wanting more. It's a vicious cycle. And I'm so glad that you got off that hamster wheel, man. And the best is yet to come, because when it's all said and done, and at the end of the day, all it's gonna do is put some years on your life, and quality years. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. I mean, living to 100 would be great if you had a quality life, but if you're at 90, the last 10 years you can't get out of bed. I mean, what's the benefit of that? So it's all about quality of life, and it sounds like something just resonated with you in that. Good Sugar, Bad Sugar is the book.
Yeah, Alan Carr.
Okay.
I found out my brother Aaron, he was smoking 2 packs a day his whole life, tried everything to quit smoking, and he found Alan Carr's book on quitting smoking, helped like over 10 million people. And he read it like 4 years ago, never smoked since. So that was kind of an inspiration for me. But the other thing, John, you're right. I mean, I talk about I had another health scare in Mexico. we moved back here, but then we went to the Mexican furniture market in Guadalajara, 3-4 months ago. And I ended up getting dizzy, going to the infirmary, and it turned out I had high blood pressure. I also have high cholesterol. Yeah, okay. And I also have high sugar. My sugar was like 100, borderline diabetic. So you add all those things up, and it's like, do I want to take the statin medication, the high blood pressure pills? I know that's not good for me. So
they got a pill for that. They got a pill for everything, right? They do. Right? That's scary. I mean, blood pressure is the silent killer, man. You don't know, but boy, what you're going to find is that, doing what you're doing, your sugar level, your glucose is going to level out. And then your blood pressure. I mean, do you take your blood pressure? Do you put the cuff and take your blood pressure on a daily basis?
Oh yeah.
It's got to be getting better. I mean, I think over time. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see this, but basically the doctor gave me two kind of pills. I don't know if let me see if I can see that. Can you see that?
Yeah, I see a yellow and a white.
Yeah. So basically the white ones, that's what I take every day. That's the maintenance. But whenever I'm over 160. Then you take it's actually pink. It looks yellow in the.
Okay.
You get over 160, then you take one of the pink ones.
Wow. Okay.
And when I first got it, like every other day, I had to take a pink one. And I haven't taken one, since I started doing this. So. Well,
especially now when you throw in the exercising too. I mean, it's good because you know what? It spills over into other areas of your life. It spills over. When you feel good. You look good, you're exercise, you're eating right. I mean, it affects everything in your life, your relationships, your work, it's all encompassing. It's just it's beautiful. Good. I'm glad to see it.
Thanks for the inspiration.
Well,
I mean, your story is way more dramatic. I mean, I have pictures of you in a hospital bed, you look like a whale. And at your recent
no, we're going to use that. We're going to certainly use that another time and talk about that journey. But I know your father's coming in tonight. How long is he staying in Vegas?
Yeah, he's going to be coming in tonight, leaving on Thursday. 85 years old. He's still working. He's in the best shape of his life at 85 years old and still working as an optometrist. He developed high blood pressure. And he actually became diabetic, type 2 diabetes, and it scared him. This is like 20 years ago, and he went on a health kick himself. He's lighter than he was. He eats good. He does take medication.
Right.
But at 85, he's still, working. It's unbelievable.
It's amazing. Well, have fun. Enjoy that visit. And everyone, I hope you got something out of it. We were all over the place today, but that's okay. That's what really this is going to be is we're just going to let it fly and hopefully you learn something that's going to be helpful to you for tonight, tomorrow, the next day. But appreciate each and every one of you. Larry, thanks again. And we'll see you next time, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.